Thank you for giving me the floor. So we, on the opposition side, have signed this letter ordering this meeting be done on an emergency basis because of media reports that have found a human smuggler, a convicted human smuggler in Canada in possession of a Canadian passport, despite a court order saying he wasn't allowed to have one, and Passport Canada issuing him a new passport. So I'm moving the following motion. That pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the committee undertake a study on the recent media reports that a convicted human smuggler with a court order forbidding possession of any travel documents was found in possession of a Canadian passport issued in 2021 after the trial and found during an RCMP raid of his residence, that the committee invite the following witnesses to appear. For 2 hours each, accompanied by senior officials from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, the Canadian Border Services Agency and Passport Canada, A. Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, and B. Dominic LeBlanc, Minister of Public Safety, 2, as well as any other witnesses the committee considers necessary in accordance with the usual practices of the committee, and that these witnesses' meetings take place prior to December 18, 2024. So, Chair, I believe that motion will be distributed in French and in English to all members of the committee. I just want to briefly go over what we know so far from media reports and some of the early research I've done looking at relevant pieces of legislation. And there's some really serious questions to be asking if the Liberal government can't even do the basics right, which is don't give known criminals who are forbidden from having a travel document by court order a legal passport so they could use it again. So in this particular case, from the timeline I have, in 2021, this man was charged as part of a group of 4. He was charged with criminal offenses, i.e., importantly, trafficking and human smuggling. He then, in 2021, had to surrender his passport. He pled guilty 2 years later during his trial. My understanding is he was living at home with one of those electronic bracelets on his ankle. I don't know why you would give, I guess, house arrest to a human smuggler, especially in a case where his smuggling network is accused credibly of having caused the death of 8 persons. I find that baffling to me. In 2023, in April, he was issued a new passport. So in February, when he pled guilty, presumably his passport was still valid when he was seized through court order and the RCMP came into its possession. In 2023, in September, he was sentenced to 15 months. So there's a lot of questions here to ask, which is like, primarily, how could Passport Canada issue a criminal well-known with an existing court order forbidding him from having a travel document? How could he get issued a new passport? I went through the passport application process, and there's multiple spots where he could have either not disclosed that situation, or Passport Canada has made a serious mistake, and the Liberal government completely failed here to provide proper oversight. My understanding is that the Canadian Police Information Centre would have gotten the notification that he's not supposed to have a travel document. That is relevant because in the Canadian passport order, in section 9 under 1B, it says very clearly, anyone who stands charged in Canada with commission of an indictable offence, and there's a D section, is subject to a term of imprisonment in Canada or is forbidden to leave Canada or the territorial jurisdiction of a Canadian court by conditions imposed with respect to, and then it starts listing them. In this situation, he shouldn't have been eligible for this passport in order to be, again, I guess, allowed to travel by the government. How could you allow someone like that to obtain such a document? I mean, the cases and the situation we see here is just abject failure. I mean, Canadian citizens expect the very basics from their different levels of government, you know, like collect taxes from those who owe them, pick up the garbage at municipal level, and then give passports to those who ask for them, who are legally allowed to have a passport, and don't give them to those who aren't supposed to have them, i.e., known criminals convicted of things like human trafficking. Let's say there's some legal criminal code reason that the government comes up with for why this person shouldn't have received it. At the very end of that section under G, it says, has been issued a passport that has not expired and has not been revoked, which then kind of ask the question, like, when the court ordered it, the court would have known when its expiry date was, and our pictures in these media reports from this entrepreneurial reporter showing that this was a 10-year legal long-term passport. So did his passport expire while in the possession of the court? Did this Canadian Police Information Center not get advised of this fact? Was it not updated? Did it not have the information? Like, this is botched at multiple levels here. There are two ministries that are involved. One is Passport Canada, but one is also the public safety side of it, the RCMP side of it. This is a database, I understand, is monitored and used actively by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Like, how could they have let this happen? How could they have let a known convicted human smuggler traffics in people be allowed to obtain a valid Canadian passport? Why was he under house arrest, of all things? Why wasn't he in prison? And an open question should be asked right now. He violated the terms of his bail. He should be behind bars. Like, I hope he is serving actual time in a physical prison and not out and about, even especially after these media reports. So that's why we need this motion passed today, Chair. That's why we've called this meeting, and we expect all members to vote in favor of getting down and getting to the truth of how these two ministers and departments could have failed so badly to ensure the public safety of Canadians.
Mr. Chang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, let me state unequivocally that what is alleged to have occurred in this case is unacceptable. Canadians rightfully expect rigorous oversight and coordination to prevent situations like this. But, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask to suspend for a few minutes, if possible, to discuss this further with my team.
Okay. Suspended.